Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Monday night edition of the People Show with your host and facilitator, Mark Wallace, here with you on this August the 25th. Good to be with you another Monday night. Hope that you all are going to tune in to the broadcast and hope that we have some good interactions with you. We got a lot to cover tonight. We're going to be talking with my co-host who's going to be coming on in just a few minutes. And that is, of course, Monroe Anderson. This is Monroe Monday week. Monroe is with us twice a month, every other week, for great conversations to talk about all of the issues that are facing us um, locally, statewide, and federally. And we have a host of them. One of the things that I want to talk about that I think that is so vitally important is making sure that we understand that we live and the times that we are living in, under the conditions that we are living in, that we have local issues, we have state issues, and we have federal issues. And we can walk, we can chew gum at the same time, meaning that we can deal with these issues. And there are layers of responsibilities. And I've seen some comments and hear people talking about local municipalities trying to blame Donald Trump for the conditions of the past. And that couldn't be further from the truth. While we have issues that are complex issues, that we have issues that are chronic issues pertaining to our community, we have to deal with those issues. But we also have to recognize the threats that are being launched against our progress and our communities by any administration, in particular this administration that is being headed up by Donald Trump. And you cannot ignore the facts. You could have your opinion about whatever it is that you want to, but you cannot ignore the facts of what is going on and where we are and where we came from. There are many concerns that I have regarding with the party that I belong to, which is the Democratic Party. I'm a registered Democrat because I support the values of what the Democratic Party is supposed to stand for. And those values, if you support those values, meaning taking care of people who need the help the most, making sure that people have access to health care, housing, and making sure that people are earning and paid livable wages, standing up for those values that we believe in and making sure that we advocate on behalf of those. Those are all Democratic values. They're not Republican values. They're not values that conservative people even care about advocating for. That's why I am a Democrat, because I want to make sure that I work with and support and hold accountable the people that we are supposed to select and elect to go to advocate, to produce policies that are going to lift the masses of people by providing help that is going to make people's lives better off. One of the staples that I believe that we are so sadly missing is that we are the only developed nation in the entire world that health care is not a right. It is a privilege to those who can afford it. And That is one of the most draconian ignorances that we have in what is the superpower and the greatest economy in the entire world. Those are some of the reasons why I am a Democrat. Republicans don't support those values. Republicans believe that you should pull yourself up by your own bootstrap. If you don't have any bootstraps, you don't get any help. If you don't have any boots, what does it matter? That's their ideology. And their ideology is, hey, you go out and get wealthy, and people who are wealthy, they don't have to worry about the cost of healthcare. They don't have to worry about insurance. And that is a very small segment of our society. And that's not why government was created. Government was created to help those who need help the most. And we are doing, in a large respect, with the people who are in power, because they have control of our federal government. They have control of the presidency. They have control of Congress. They have control of the Supreme Court. We don't have any control there, but we can stand and defend those values that we believe in. And I say to any of us and any of you who watch me and follow this program, don't fall into despair. Don't allow for your frustration to force you to fade. Stay engaged and stand together, because if we stand together, there's nothing that we can't win. There's nothing that we can't achieve. That's where our ultimate strength and power is that we have to stand with each other. We have to learn how to amass real power. And real power is standing together in the areas where we are. We don't have to try to stand together all across the United States. We can be an example where we are for the United States. And we have the wherewithal, and we have the resources, and we have the population, and we have the density of the population to be able to do that. So that's why I'm a Democrat. And that's why most of you, I assume, that you support those same values. But that is what the Democratic values are. That's why I am a Democrat, not an independent, not a conservative, not a Republican, but a Democrat. Because I believe that every human being, every citizen of this country should have the right to have health care provided to them. And the fact that we don't have that in the greatest economy and what is called the greatest country in the world, in the developed nations, says that there is a group of people who don't care about people. And Republicans have fought against every measure that will be put forth to help the everyday average person. They fought Social Security, they fought Medicare, they fought Medicaid. This is from its inception. They fought the fair housing. They fought all of that. These people that today that you look at, they fought all of those systems that are designed to help people. And in thusly helping people, it helps us all. Having people to have access to healthcare, where people have a right to healthcare, so that when they get sick, they can go see a doctor, they can go get cared for, they can go get treatment, rather than people who can't afford it and can't afford the premiums, that they're coming, you know, they go to work sick because they can't afford to stay home. So they're coming around you, your children, the rest of us, providing us services, and they're sick and passing their sickness on to us. So it is a public health importance and reason as to why we should have health care as a right and not as a privilege. Which is why we have, through the Democrats, that we have paid leave. That did not come through Republicans, where when you get sick, you can have time off so that you can get cared for and you can get well and you don't have to be around other people making other people sick. That wasn't produced by Republicans or conservatives because they don't care about that sort of thing. Taiwan. Taiwan has one of the, in COVID, it showed why it has one of the greatest healthcare systems in the world. Taiwan had the lowest number of people, the lowest numbers of deaths of any nation. Why? Because they have one of the best healthcare systems in the world. And you know who their healthcare system was created by and designed by? An American. An American. They hired an American to design their system and said, look, this is how you prepare for, take care of people and have a healthy society. And so if Taiwan had the lowest numbers of COVID deaths, and they absolutely showed and demonstrated how you can take care of people and prevent illness by providing health care. Healthcare should not be a privilege. Pull yourself up by your bootstrap. It should be a public commons, just like public education, just like our police, just like our fire. All should be our public commons, and so should healthcare. It should not be a for-profit venture for insurance companies or anyone for that matter. So we need to fight for and stand for and advocate for representatives that are going to fight for Medicare for all. If any time that there was an appropriate time, well, there's always an appropriate time, but if there was a time, if we want to win as Democrats, that's what every person who is running for an office, or every person that we are looking to run for an office, should be running on, is making sure that we have Medicare for all. And if the Democrats want to win, I contend that that is the message that they should be running on. Not to focus all of our time talking about this vile, vicious, vindictive, evil person that is there. We don't need to spend all of our time talking about them. We need to watch, as the Bible tells us that we have to watch as well as to pray, but we don't need to invest all of our time on this person or on distractions, such as the Jeffrey Epstein debacle. Yes, if there are people out there, they should be held accountable for abusing and sexually assaulting children and raping young women and manipulating and trafficking women from this country or any other country. They should be held accountable. I fully agree with that. But my point is that we have to be focused and not be distracted. We have to get in our lane and we have to drive safely, and we have to focus on what is important for us to focus on. That is what we must do. We cannot allow for ourselves to be bamboozled, which is much of what the Republicans are doing, much of what the orange guy is doing, is using all of the things and tactics that they are using to be a distraction and to distract us so that they can exact their agenda by stripping away all of the largest and leaving nothing to invest in people who need it the most. So I would encourage any of you, when you're talking to people who are asking for your support, Medicare for all should be a top agenda of making sure that healthcare becomes a right and not a privilege. All of us should have that synthesis, and we should be saying it to everybody who is in a public office now, anybody who is interested in running in a public office, and anyone who is campaigning for a public office and asking for your support. You should be asking them, what is your platform and what is your position on Medicare for all? And will you make Medicare for all your top priority? If they're not willing to make Medicare for all a top priority, then we need to get other candidates who will. We need to support candidates who will. That's why I fundamentally believe that it is crucial that we build our own independent Democratic voting bloc right here where we are in Chicago and Cook County and in the state of Illinois. Right in here in Cook County where we have more than 1.5 million registered Black voters to date. That's what we have. More than right here in Chicago and Cook County. There is nobody who can win an office in Cook County, citywide, countywide, or statewide, without having the plurality of the Black vote. So if we want to empower ourselves to make sure that agendas that we want to be in, issues that we want to be dealt with, and there's a host of them that we are advocating for and that we need. Like here that I went around and talked with people and asked people, what are some of the issues that are important to you? And had conversations with people just in my travels. And I would ask that question, what are the issues that are important to you? There were things like trafficking that was important to them, finding our missing girls, making sure that we have not forgotten about our missing girls and what are we doing to find them, what kind of resources are we using to find our missing girls. The gun trafficking, how are guns flowing into our communities. The issue of housing, affordable housing, investing in people, creating opportunities. These are issues that we commonly have in place. lowering property taxes, the stopping of always coming to homeowners when there are budget issues or there are revenue needs, that the homeowners are the go-to persons. Those are just some. Those are just some of the issues that people were talking about. And as I move around, I'm going to continue to ask people for that, because that becomes what the platform or agendas that we are going to be demanding from people who are going to want our support. So, and I'll continue to ask that, because I believe that we have much more in common in terms of our desires and what we want or think that is important for our communities, far more in common than things that we don't have in common. And that is where it is important that we all learn what is our commonality. You will find that most things that other people are interested in, that you're interested in. You may have your nuanced area, but there are many people who are interested in what your nuance is, whatever that is. And so what makes that important is that it tells us and it reminds each of us, just in talking with each other, that, you're interested in the same things that I'm interested in. Your values are very similar to mine. Then why aren't we working together so that we can strengthen our force to make sure that those issues are addressed? That's what Project 2025 is. That's what the methodology is there. They didn't create any new methodology. They picked up the mantle of what brings about strength and power to move forth your agenda. And they're moving forth a very draconian, abusive agenda that is going to disenfranchise and hurt a lot of people. And I dare say a lot of people will lose their lives. Do you know, at the end of this month, in just a few months, this is September, coming up September, October, November, December, in the next 4 months, by the end of December, there are going to be millions of people that are going to have their insurance premiums to increase by an average of $700 a month, because of the big bloated bill and because the Republicans have pushed forth this draconian public policy that are taking away the subsidies that the Affordable Care Act. So this is their way that they finally were able to infiltrate, to initiate destroying the Affordable Care Act, known as Obamacare. These are part of Donald Trump's signatures, is to eliminate care for people under the auspices of going after his alleged perceived enemies. Why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't we do it? I contend that we don't do it because we don't quite understand the gravity of what we're not doing, and we don't understand the gravity of what we could be doing. Let's not make it about a personality contest. Let's make it about the principal idea of putting ourselves in a position to stand up for what it is that we want and to advocate for that for our people and our communities, to strengthen our communities in the areas that we need them to be strengthened in, to making sure that we're investing in people. The way that we improve public education is not to dismantle it. The way we improve public education is to make sure that we are investing in housing, we're investing in the opportunity in attracting industry to come, strengthening our unions so that workers are being protected and provided for, and that we're creating opportunities for careers of other businesses to come in, providing them with the incentives to set up their industries in our locale, in our city, so that thousands of our people can go into careers and retire from those careers, those jobs. And so when you expand the tax base, you grow the tax base and you expand it, you create more investment dollars to strengthen public education, to invest in housing, to provide people with adequate housing, to eliminate the erosion of properties in our communities, to fix our roads, to fix our sewers, to deal with our pension problems that we have. You expand the tax base by investing in people, and that is how you get to prosperity. Prosperity, I have never seen where prosperity came because they cut their way to prosperity. Anytime that I have prospered in my business, I have invested my way to a profit or to prosperity. And so that is the same thing that we do in terms, if we want to have thriving communities, a thriving public education, a thriving healthcare system, thriving housing, is that we have to invest our way to prosperity. When you invest, there becomes a return. The same way they invested with the GI Bill, where they invested in those soldiers by providing them with support to go to school, to get a trade, to then come back and become a gainfully employed person in whatever that trade or whatever that area of work, whether it be as a carpenter or a bricklayer or a plumber or a lawyer or a scientist or an accountant. The study was done, it was a 20-year study on the GI Bill. And that 20-year study showed that for every dollar that we spent investing in people, we got $7 in return. Why? Because we sent and provided for people to get a trade, to get an education, so that they would be able to earn a good living, expanding the tax base, and by doing so, they would be able to contribute into our revenue source. That is what it means to help to elevate people. You don't cut your way to prosperity. There's no cutting your way to prosperity. There's no company that is cutting their way to prosperity. They invest their way to prosperity. That's why you see mergers going on. They're buying, they're investing in order to increase their market share or to increase their profitability. Well, it is the same thing that we have to do for people. That is not the Republican way. That is a Democratic value. So all these people out here talking about, I am voting red because I'm pissed off about the fact that Brandon Johnson, the mayor of the city of Chicago, used resources that are being reimbursed by the federal government because it's a federal issue, but he used local resources to take care of some poor people that another sick, vile individual called Greg Abbott herded people up on a bus and bust them into Chicago just for political banter. And they got you all excited and got you focused on watching some poor people and being against some poor people while they are legislating your opportunities and your jobs continuously out of the country. And they got you pissed off at Brandon Johnson, who happens to be the mayor, because as the mayor, he has to govern. And he has a responsibility to not allow for people to be in harm's way. Could there have been a different way to do certain things? There's always a different way. There's always some lessons to be learned. But from the election all the way to these types of things, and I am not here to be an apologist for Brandon Johnson by any stretch of the imagination. I am not sitting here saying that I am endorsing Brandon Johnson for mayor. I am not. That is not what I am saying. I'm trying to get us to get focused, to making sure that we understand how we have to engage in this system. We can't operate in this zero-sum game attitude. That is a loser for us, and is a loser for anybody who takes on this zero-sum game attitude and decide, I'm going to check out. It does not benefit anybody but your opposition. That's what they want you to do, is to check out. That's why they don't want you to vote. That's why they're making it so hard for you to vote. They want you to check out. They want you to not be bothered. They want you to come over there to vote for them, not because they want to win you over and provide anything for you. They just want to make sure that if you vote for them, then that gives them a greater chance at dominating in power, which they are doing on a federal level. But we have got to get focused, and we have to have a complete understanding. And even if it's not a complete understanding, but we certainly need to understand that the Republicans is not an option for Black people. And those people who would like to say, well, we used to vote Republican, in the beginning. Yes, because the Republicans of that day are the Democrats of this day. The Republicans became the Republicans because the old Dixiecrats did not like the idea of freeing the enslaved in the South. And then we made the real shift when the Republican Martin Luther King Sr., who was a registered Republican, and his son, Martin Luther King Jr., was arrested during the Nixon-Kennedy campaign. And Daddy King went and called Richard Nixon's campaign and asked their campaign to get his son out of jail. And Richard Nixon's campaign blew him off. He went to the Kennedys' campaign and asked the Kennedys to help to get his son out of jail. And the Kennedy campaign helped to get his son out of jail. And Martin Luther King Sr. endorsed John F. Kennedy for president. That is when the big shift came because it was already happening. But that sealed the deal as to getting us to vote Democratic, because the Republicans were losing their way and denying and voting against all of those comments. They voted against the Social Security. They voted against the Fair Housing Act. They voted against Medicare. They voted against Medicaid. They voted against even public education. So that is why we're Democrats today. The Democrats today were the Republicans of the old, and the Republicans today were the Democrats of the old. They were the old Dixiecrats. They just switched labels. So don't conflate the Democrats and Republicans of the day with the Democrats and the Republicans of yesterday, suggesting that somehow we were Republicans and we should go back to being Republicans. No. Because the Republicans that you're talking about going back to, you meaning you're going back to the Dixiecrat Democrats. That's what that is all about. So here in Chicago, where we are, where we have these huge swaths, let's organize our own independent voting block. I want to ask you all to do me a favor. If you have not been, I want to ask you to do it right now, because I'll hear it on my phone. If you're not registered in our text alert, that is the Political Action Committee, 10 by 10 to win, which is where we are unionizing our own independent voting block. We're creating it all around Chicago and Cook County. We want to build it to 500,000 strong. We want to have as big of a voice in saying who our candidate is going to be, who we're going to select, and who we're going to elect, that the people make that determination, not some person who is in an office that's leaving an office, or not even the party. The people should be making those choices, not the party. Not abandoning the party, but putting things into context. The party, the public officials should not be determining who our candidates are and then bringing them to us and saying, hey, voters, these are the 5 people you get to choose from. These are who we selected. That's not the way that it should be. It should be the reverse. They should be coming and asking us for support. And the way that they get our support is that they have to sign on to supporting the agenda that we, the independent block, develop, our own project, whatever year it is, coming Project 2026. So that'll be Project 2026. But in order to develop that, you have to have a team so that you can move your agenda forward. You could have the best laid plan, but if you don't have a team to execute it, it's meaningless. It has no value. So I am asking each one of you, I'm going to put it in the chat. I'm going to put it in the chat to please text 10x10 to 855-909-1385. I'll put it in the chat, okay? And I am asking for, if you are not in the text alert, if you're not in the text alert, I'm asking you to get into the text alert, right? Register and then attend Thursday's meeting. And if you don't like what you hear Thursday, then fine. But if what you hear Thursday makes sense, if what you hear Thursday makes sense, and I'm not asking you to stay for the entire meeting, unless it makes sense to you. I was on the West Side this Saturday, supporting Brother Malcolm Crawford over there on what I call the West Side Renaissance, where they are working hard to build and strengthen the Black business corridor there. So we were over at one of the establishments there where they had a beer. And beer is not as beer and the beverage, it is an acronym for the Black Economic Empowerment Rally. That's what beer stands for. So I went there to support that on this past Saturday at Spill the Beans coffee shop at 5300 West Chicago Avenue. So if you're on the west side of Chicago and you've never gone there, go there and support them, buy a smoothie or coffee. But I also know that if we are going to sustain our Black businesses, we have to have a very strong workforce, meaning that we've got to get the chronic unemployment that exists. We have to deal with that. You want to deal with crime and continue to reduce crime and certainly to reduce violent crime, deal with what produces that. And that is a lack of resources. When you have a bunch of people and very little resources, the people are going to fight. They're going to find ways to feed themselves. And there's a small segment that are either forced into these areas or that are going to be engaged in those areas. A small subset of people that causes the uncertainty. We have to advocate for creating and bringing in those kinds of opportunities. That's investing in people. That is dealing with crime. Dealing with crime is not throwing more police and batons and guns at it and badges. Dealing with crime and cutting crime means to cut into the disinvestment and the lack of opportunity. Attack that so that the very same people that are at risk involved in the high risk activity, that we could get them involved in something much more productive, earning a very good living, helping industries do very well, because it's okay for industries to do well as long as the industries are taking care of their people. Those are the kinds of things that we have to do. Not sure what happened to my co-host, but my co-host must have gotten distracted. I'm going to see if, in fact, I may have missed them, but that he is not. I want to call him and see where he is, because we were supposed to be dealing with he's supposed to be on tonight. Tonight is his night. It's Monroe Anderson. So we are going to. Hey, Mark. Monroe, what happened? This is your night. You're supposed to be on. That was last week. No, you didn't come on last week. Okay, it's probably some confused on this stuff. I need a better system. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so what are you doing? And thing is, my internet is out right now. That's what I'm trying to get back on.
Ah, okay. Your internet is out. Okay. Your internet is out. All right. Yeah, because the people were waiting on you.
Okay,
All right.
yeah.
All right.
Well, it's on my TVs. It's not on my laptop.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What's the subject? What are you talking about?
Well, I've talked about a variety of things. I've been talking about healthcare. Been talking about, um, you know, uh, um, crime, and on my way to talk about this manufactured so-called crises that the president is violating the Constitution and violating the law, threatening to send combat missions into cities where there are largely uh, blue cities, but really targeting black people.
Right. Well, he just fired Commissioner Cook.
Commissioner Cook? Who is Commissioner Cook?
Federal commission. So the thing that decides whether we get more with money, that decides on the rate for money, borrow money.
Oh, at the federal reserves, at the Federal Reserves.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, all right,
He just fired her.
okay. Was that a black woman?
Yeah, the first black woman, only black woman.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And of course, we were supposed to be talking about do black people who voted for Trump think that still think that that was the better choice? Yeah. So,
I didn't talk to you last week,
no, 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 you weren't on last week. Um, yeah, last week I had, well, and he's supposed to be on this week. I hope that he's able to come on. Patrick Woodtor, who is the executive director and founder of the African Festival. Yeah. 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 All right. Well, listen. Yeah. All right.
I'll talk to you in 10 minutes.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Okay. All right. Put a shirt on and put some water in your hair. All right. We'll see you. All right. Bye bye. All right. Okay, folks. Back on the ranch. Back on the ranch. So he had his schedule mixed up. I figured that was the case. But coming up on intellectualradio.com in the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking with Patrick Woodtor, and Patrick Woodtor is the founder, president, and executive director of the African International House USA, and he's also the executive producer of the annual African Festival of the Arts. He is going to be on the program coming up at 8 o'clock, talking about the return of the 35th African Festival of the Arts on this coming Labor Day weekend. That is going to be at the DuSable Museum. So I'm not going to talk too much about it, but he's going to tell us all about it. More than 200,000 people are going to be converging down here on the south side of Chicago from around the globe. So we're going to have a great time this Labor Day weekend. So we're going to be talking with him coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. So I'm going to wait to have that conversation with Matthew. But again, most of you who have follow me know that I try very hard and work very hard to make sure that we are focused and talking about those things that really matter, whether it be locally or whether it be on a national level. Holding people accountable, holding people in our party accountable, not just talking about the Republicans, but certainly holding people in our party accountable. We have to talk about those people who are working antithetical to us, and there's also people who are on our side that may be misguided in policies that they are that they're supporting. Like, I am very critical of Brandon Johnson, very critical of some of the things that um, Brandon is doing or has done. And one of the things that I'm mostly critical of him is that he gave his word that he was going to do something about a regressive policy that is hurting and crippling people in our communities with the policy of photo enforcement, of red light cameras and speed cameras, which do nothing but take hundreds of millions of dollars and ticket people in our community at 3 times the rate that people are ticketed on the north side of Chicago. And you have people like Daniel LaSpada, who are completely ignorant of the facts, who don't want to even know the facts, who don't even want to know the real data. And so they sit and they propagate and they promote policies that are generating a lot of money for private interest, have turned what is our public commons into a private enterprise. Speed cameras and red light cameras are a private enterprise. They are not for public safety. They do not produce safety. They do not go after the real culprits of reckless and dangerous driving. People who are driving 6 miles an hour over a speed limit are not the problem. People who are driving 15 and 20 miles over the speed limit are the problem, because these are largely the people who are driving reckless and who are causing accidents. We have recorded now more than 3 times the amount of traffic crashes in and around the city here 10 years post speed cameras and 22 years post the initiation of red light cameras. If they are producing such safety measures, if they are reducing crashes, then that would mean that the revenue would be going down if they were causing people to drive safer. But that's never what they were intended for. They were intended for and sold to Mayor Daley and sold to Brandon Johnson, as this is one of the easiest revenue generating systems that they have in government. It is the easiest form of taxation in government. And Brandon Johnson is going down this rabbit hole the same way that his predecessor, Lori Lightfoot, and the same way that her predecessor, Rahm Emanuel, lost tremendous support because they too doubled down on the system. And Lori Lightfoot, it really was a nail in her coffin that not only was she doubled down on it and one who campaigned against it, she would make it more egregious of enforcement than her predecessor. And Brandon Johnson is doubling down on it by continuing it and expanding it. And you have people like Will Hall, who's the alderman of the 6th Ward, alderman where I live, who essentially thinks that it is something funny to laugh about because he tries to joke with me about it. I don't see it as a joke. This is a serious tax that is causing economic harm on the people in our communities. And we should stand against it. Now, and we are going to stand against it because it's going to hurt Brandon Johnson. And it could end up being that thing that causes that he does not get reelected. Now, I was asked the question if I was going to support Brandon Johnson. And I said, I don't know who the alternative is going to be. If the alternative is going to be Paul Vallis, then I don't have much of an option other than to support Brandon Johnson, who will be the person that I can certainly rely on to not try to blow up our commons so much and make them the Republicans' playpen, because that's who Paul Vallis is. So if it became Paul Vallis, I don't have any other choice. And I would just have to support Brandon Johnson, and we'd have to get him reelected, and then have to go back to advocating and hoping that he will do the right thing. Now, this idea of speed cameras, if it was about enforcement, and it's certainly about going after the people who are really the most dangerous, it would be the people who it would be the people that are if we're going to enforce it, what I'm saying is going after the people who are driving 20 miles over the speed limit in a residential neighborhood should not be driving 20 miles over the speed. Those people are reckless drivers. People who are driving 6 miles over the speed limit are not the problem. People who are driving 15 to 20 miles over the speed limit are people who are contributing to the problem. So if we were going to have an enforcement, if you're really talking about going after the people who are reckless, listen to this. This is how California, I believe it's California, they have a pilot program. And their pilot program, in terms of how they are enforcing speed cameras, listen, this is, if you're going to have some semblance of credibility in terms of enforcement, I would, if I were to support it, I would think that this would be, hopefully I can find it here. The way that I would enforce it, and so I don't want to misstate it, so I want to pull it up to make sure that that I have it right. Okay, so here is the way that they are enforcing it in California. It's California AB 645, Assembly Bill 645. Vehicle Speed Safety System Pilot Program. So in California, the California legislature passed a bill allowing for the use of automated speeding cameras as a pilot program in 6 California counties: Los Angeles, Glendale, Long Beach, San Francisco, San Jose, and Oakland. Doesn't mean that they are enforcing it, but those are the counties that are allowed to use this policy. And so the way that it works, so they think that and of course, I think that they're going to be, unfortunately, a little disappointed because these things just don't bring about the kinds of safety improvements, and certainly to deal with fatalities, traffic crashes, and that sort of thing. So what the bill does is it imposes a $100 fine for anyone who is driving 16 to 25 miles over the speed limit, which is appropriate. Anybody driving 16 to 25 miles over the speed limit should be held to an account, should be held accountable. Anybody who would get a $200 ticket for driving 26 miles per hour over and a $500 fine for driving 100 miles over the speed limit. Drivers that are traveling 11 to 15 miles will receive a warning on the first offense and then a $50 fine for a second offense. That to me is a much more equitable, fairer way to enforce it, because it tells me that they're really trying to go after the problem drivers. Because people who are driving 16 miles over the speed limit, I will never argue with a person getting a ticket driving 16 miles over a speed limit, especially in a residential area. That would never, you would never get an argument from me. The argument that you get from me here in the city of Chicago is because the numbers don't add up. Like the math ain't mathing. We took a 10-year analysis of the cameras, and that 10-year analysis of the cameras demonstrated and showed that where the 162 cameras prior to them adding the 50 cameras, the 162 cameras on a 10-year basis versus a 10-year analysis of the 50 locations that did not have cameras for 10 years. And we put them side by side. And the difference between the locations that had cameras for 162 cameras for 10 years and the 50 new locations that did not have cameras for 10 years. The difference in the crash data or the crash rate was 0.1%. In other words, the traffic crash rate for the location that has cameras, 162 of them, was 14.1. And the locations that did not have cameras for 10 years, the crash rate is 14.2. 1/100th of 1% difference between the locations that had cameras for 10 years and the locations that did not have cameras. What that is telling you, that the cameras do not produce safety. That's not what they do. They produce a lot of revenue of people, especially people that are driving 6 miles over the speed limit, because it is virtually almost impossible to not drive 6 to 8 miles over the speed limit. And somebody driving 6 miles over the speed limit really uh, should not be ticketed. But uh, we have this draconian policy. So now I said all of that to say I can be critical and will be critical of people who happen to be Democrats. But it doesn't mean I'm going to abandon the Democratic um, system and certainly the Democratic Party. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get involved and hope that we organize ourselves to be stronger so that we can have a stronger voice on any issue, whatever your issue is. I'm sure that it is an issue that crosses um, many of our thoughts. And if it doesn't, it still doesn't make it an issue that is a non-legitimate issue. But the point is to get and stay engaged. So please, I'm asking for 10 of you to text 10x10 to the number 855-909-1385. I'm going to get it. And the first 10 that registers, and shows up, you're going to get a 10 by 10 to win polo shirt for free. And those shirts are normally $20. So you're going to get one for free. All right. My co-host is showing up. Hey, Monroe.
Yeah. Hey, I've been having technical difficulties. My apologies.
You've been having technical issues getting on?
On my system at home, period.
Okay.
The day I was off the internet completely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
And my cell phone died. And so I was back in 1975. I was
Yeah.
complete. It was very frustrating.
Did it give you anxiety all day?
More than that, yeah, right. I didn't realize how important it was to me, and so I tried to contact Comcast, and I talked to robots.
Yeah.
And they couldn't figure it out, and so they said they would bring a technician over today, and this was a week ago when this happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
See, I don't have that problem because I don't have cable. I haven't had cable in 30 plus years.
I'm saying I'm cable. I have all kind of cable stuff. So how are you online?
I have Wi-Fi. And I have access to those channels that matter, the news channels, because I have Netflix and Paramount and a couple of the others that I'm able to get all of the news outlets that I need to get. And I have Sirius XM.
Okay, how are you able to get the local stations and MSNBC? Those are the ones that are most important to me. And
Yeah.
And I have 5 TVs, and only one of them I'm getting it on right now. And so and I have a whole lifestyle and flow of the house.
You know, they don't pay me any money, so I'm not going to promote it. So, but I'm going to tell you.
Well, you can tell me off the air later.
I'll tell you off air where you could actually save yourself a lot of money. Okay, so
Yeah, because
and it's
I was
legitimate.
paying Comcast $440 a month.
That's what you pay now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just quit them. I quit them, and I've gone elsewhere. We are naming places. We're naming
Okay.
Comcast because it's sticking me
Okay.
up. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. I'm starting to hear a lot about of that about Comcast
yeah.
that are people having uh, cable-itis and cable nightmares.
Right, right. No, they
Well, yeah.
raise the rates without telling you or anything. It's just it's now more. And
Yeah.
it wasn't that long ago. It was 200 and some bucks a month for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the last time I paid cable, I was paying $25 a month, and I thought that was too much.
Yeah, right. Well,
But
child support.
I decided that I didn't need cable.
Yeah,
I do a lot of reading, and I look even back then at so many different news sources. So, and I still consider myself to be fairly, um, on top of things that matter. But let me
well,
say this first of all.
here's a test for you
Yeah,
before you're really up on everything going on now. Who's president right now?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if it's Vladimir Putin,
Right,
uh,
exactly right.
or if it's Stephen Miller, uh, or Steve Bannon, or Joe Rogan, um, or um, or Melania,
It's
right?
it's
But it
it's
or
it's it's not
Michael
allowed.
Volk.
No women allowed in presidency in America. So it's not Melania. The other
Well, by de
other
facto, not elected to be president.
yeah,
Yeah, not elected to be president,
or
but
or,
uh,
or allowed.
well, according to 39% of Hispanic men who
Yeah,
said that they would have voted for Joe Biden if he was the candidate,
right.
because they voted for Joe Biden in 20.
Yeah.
But 39% of Hispanic men said that they voted for Donald Trump for one reason and one reason only.
Well,
And that is because they don't believe that a woman should be the head of anything.
yeah. Yeah.
So, um, now
Does
we can
does
get
America
into that, but let me say this before I forget, because
okay.
and then we can go on.
Okay.
I thoroughly enjoyed the documentary. I thoroughly enjoyed the documentary, and I hope that every Black person who cares anything about uh, what's going on, or even understanding the importance of Black people in journalism.
Yeah.
Um, I and I told Dorothy today that I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed it that it wasn't so choreographed to where every scene was, staged. I
Yeah.
enjoyed the flow of conversation of people just sitting around the room telling their
Yeah.
story, right?
Yeah.
Um, I enjoy that. Now, I have one criticism,
Okay.
not about the content. And I asked this of Dorothy this morning. Why was Stephen A. Smith the most prominent figure on the still photo for the production? And she said that she said that he was not, obviously not um, in the narrative,
Right.
and that photograph where he was something that was taken early on and on a poster or something like that by one of the graphic people.
Yeah.
And I said to her, that was my only concern and question. And my wife raised the same question,
Yeah.
who said that, I was thinking the same thing. Because I
Yeah.
am not first of all, I'm not a Stephen A. Smith fan. I think that, politics is one of those things that I think that reveals people, a lot about people,
Yeah. It
about
can.
it can be, to reveal their ignorance or to reveal how in tune they are with what's going on. And this political cycle revealed the ignorance of Stephen A. Smith politically.
You talking about next President Smith?
Of president of what?
Of the good old USA. If Donald Trump can be president, anybody can be president.
Well, yeah, ignorance is the litmus test. Is that, hey, if you can get out there um, and you can win over people by talking tough and loud and that
Yeah.
sort of thing, and giving people some false hope. But unfortunately, Stephen A. Smith has the wrong skin color.
Yeah. Well,
Because he wouldn't even be allowed to get away with it. Right? Even black people wouldn't allow for him to get away with it. So, but that was my only observation. And I guess if you want to call it a criticism, you can call it a criticism. But I didn't criticize it. I just looked at it and I was like, they could have put anybody up there. There could have been Dorothy could have been up there. They could have had, anybody, any number of people. The girl for what's the girl's name that's now the host of Meet the Press? They could have had her there. They could have any number of Joy Reid could have been there. Any number of people. Even though he's a sports journalist,
yeah.
But when I look at journalism in terms of real information, news, and really
Or
telling our stories,
real
Stephen A.
information.
Smith would not be a person that I would be looking up to for wanting to hear from his information. I'm not asking you to comment because you're a journalist, so I'm not asking you to comment, but that's just
I
my.
don't know him, and I'm not a fan of his. But because I don't keep up with sports,
Yeah.
so I don't know that much about him. The only sport I keep up with is the Bears. Period. Full stop.
Oh,
And well,
that's
if
been rather disappointing.
yeah, right, yeah, I know.
I mean, if you're a Bear fan,
Yeah, well, if you're a Chicago sports fan in general, uh, I was a fan of the '90s Bulls, but that was 30 years ago. But basically, I'm a fair weather fan.
okay,
If
okay,
the team is
yeah,
winning, then I pay attention to it. If it's not, life's too short to watch a team lose.
okay,
However, with the Bears, because it's only 18 games a year or something like that.
yeah,
So I can handle that. And they actually win some games.
not many, but
Hey,
not
right.
many. So, what do you
Well,
call a fan like me, right? Who likes every other Chicago sports team except for the Bears?
uh, contrarian.
Okay, I'll take that. Um, I have never been able to forgive the '85 Bears.
For what?
I'm glad you asked. I had the unfortunate opportunity to watch a few of them conduct themselves in public that I thought was very unbecoming. One time, I used to live at 1120 North LaSalle when they were in 1985.
Yeah.
That was when they won the championship, right? 1985.
Yeah.
Okay. So I lived at 1120 North LaSalle. I had just moved to Chicago. Was it 1985 or 1986? 85. They won the championship from the 85, 86. Okay. So, and I was so excited because the only loss that they endured that year was to my hometown, to the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins beat them in the Monday Night Football game, so that was their only loss.
Yeah.
So my Super Bowl at that time had been won already. I was at a soul food restaurant that used to be on North Avenue. That was a very popular soul food restaurant on North Avenue at the time because you had Cabrini Green there, the housing community. There was this wonderful soul food restaurant on North Avenue. I can't remember the name of it, but it was on North Avenue between Wells and LaSalle. And I used to go there on Sundays. And so what's his name? Can't think of his name. I'm having a brain freeze.
Walter Payton.
No, not Walter Payton. It was a defensive player. He was a linebacker for the Bears at that time. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Refrigerator Perry?
No, William Perry was a defensive lineman.
Wait, what position did you say he was?
He was a defensive back.
Oh, not Peyton. Mike. Oh God, I'm forgetting his last name now. That was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, what did he do? He doesn't
defensive backs for the 1985 Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
His
Mike Singleton? The Singletary?
No. His name is not even on here. Dave Durison, Gary Fensick, Leslie Frazier, Sean Gale, Reggie Phillips, Mike Richardson, Ken Taylor,
Richard Dent.
Wait, there were some others.
See, so you hating on the Bears for some bench warmer?
No, he wasn't a bench warmer. Why is his name not down here?
Whoever wrote that article is much like Mark Wallace. He hating on the Bears for bench warmer. So
let's see. No, this can't be accurate because there was in fact he was married to a local famous tailor, female designer here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you got to be kidding me that this guy's name is not he's not on the starting let's see here. Oh man. Well, anyway, I can't he was a starter. He was not a bench warmer. He was a starter. But anyway, he came into the restaurant and was following a game. And there was myself and whoever the person I was with. I don't even remember who I was with. The person that I was with and there was another family, one other family, right? Because it was actually close to closing time, because it was on a Sunday. So he comes in with his wife, and I would imagine it was his sister-in-law, and there was a little boy sitting there, and the little boy's eyes lit up when he walked in the door.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, there's nobody in the restaurant. The little boy asked for his autograph. He would not give him his autograph.
Yeah. Because he said, nobody's going to know me 30 years from now, kid. So I'm not going to waste your time of mine.
Oh, oh. Now I gotta get his name.
Not Dave Dorson, right?
Not Dave Dorson.
I don't know who you could be talking about.
1985 Chicago Bears defensive squad.
Yeah.
Let's see. Otis Wilson.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Otis,
Yeah.
Otis Wilson. So he wasn't a bench warmer.
Right. No, Otis was crucial. Yeah.
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 And so he was cruel too. So there was a level of arrogance on that team that I have never been able to get past. A friend of mine, good friend of mine, my ex-girlfriend's nephew got a tryout with the Bears in 1987.
Yeah.
1987 or 88, somewhere around there. And he
Yeah.
gave us tickets to go to the preseason game. I went to the game. I still could not develop a liking for the Bears. I wanted them to lose that game. So I was rooting for the other team to win. But I have never been able to get over the 1985 squad. And I'm just not a Bears fan. I'm a Cubs fan because my homeboy Andre Dawson played for the Cubs. I'm still a Cubs fan. I'm a Chicago White Sox fan. I'm a Blackhawk supporter, although I've never been to a Blackhawk game and probably won't. I'm even a Chicago Fire want them to win fan. The Bears, I relish in the Bears losing.
Well, you've been a happy man for the last 25 years or so.
Yeah. Now, well, I don't even watch the NFL anyway because I just think that they are so openly racist that I cannot knowingly support an industry that has basically said to black men that you speak when we say you can speak, or you won't play in the NFL. That's the message that they sent by blackballing Colin Kaepernick. And they said, look, we're going to have to pay you some money. They paid him some money. Whatever the money they paid him is chicken feed compared to what the money is that they generate, right?
Yeah.
So they paid him whatever they paid him. But the 32 owners have said he will never set foot on another NFL field.
Yeah.
We're going to show them who has the power.
Yeah.
That's what that says to me. So I can't watch the NFL. I can't watch the NFL, and especially that they went along with Donald Trump in removing some saying that says "end racism" from the end zone the day that he shows up at the Super Bowl game. So they completely took that out.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't do it. So whenever I see people walking around with NFL black people, right, that black people have said,
you know how many black men have really good jobs as a result of the NFL?
How many black who?
Men.
Are you talking about players?
Yes.
Yeah, well, but they're still controlled. They have those jobs because they keep their mouth shut.
What industry is it that black men are to be able to speak their minds freely without being punished? So I'm trying to think of
Well, but the difference is in the NFL. The difference is in the NFL. The people who have the power are the black players. The black players, the superstars of the NFL,
right,
85% of them are black men.
right.
If the black
That's
players
right.
decided, if they decided, all of them decided that they're not suiting up, guess what
Yeah,
happens to the market share of the NFL?
yeah, right, right.
It
But
becomes mediocre at best.
they get paid better jobs than they would if they were working at the steel mills or something.
Well, I don't know.
They're,
Well,
they're, so they're and they don't have the power. And again, I'm not a sports person. I don't know a lot about sports because I only watch the Bears. But the NFL, the National Basketball Association, the NBA, the players have a lot more power and authority there because is fewer of them on the team, and
no, they don't. No, no, that's not correct. On both of those squads, they have the power. On the NBA, the black
no,
players
yeah,
make up.
yeah,
If the black players of both of those sports walked off the fields, they
right,
would be completely uninteresting. Both of them. They would
yeah,
not.
yeah,
Nobody would want to buy tickets. You could
and
get tickets for $10.
they'd be broke.
Well,
But,
no, they won't be
right,
broke because you know what it will do? It will force the owners to change their policy. Why? Because it is now impacting their bank accounts.
well, a lot of those owners, not all, but a majority, are extremely rich white men, and those teams are not their breadwinner. That's their toy that they have. Just like they go out and buy a Lamborghini or something like that, just as something that they're glad to have.
Well, but there's
Uh,
no question about it. But it's still a billion. Each one of the NFL teams now are worth more than $1 billion. None of
right.
them are worth less than $1 billion.
Yeah. Right.
So you have to be a billionaire to afford one of those teams.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Because
Right.
they turned you and Trump down, both of
But
you.
they would not be worth $1 billion if the black players walked off. They would not be worth $1 billion if the black players walked off and
No,
say, you
what I'm
know what, we're
telling
not
you about
suiting up.
is okay, is first of all, the NBA players have a
Yeah.
lot more clout than the NFL players do.
How do you
And they
figure that?
have huh?
How do
Because
you
they
figure?
do. Their union is more powerful. Um, b the reason that one of the reasons that's a reality is there are fewer players on the NBA than there are on the NFL. Another reason is an NBA player's career lasts longer than an NFL player. Um, the average NFL player is career is like 3 years or something because of injuries and turnover and
Right.
all things. Whereas
Right.
um, LeBron is now reaching a record number of years for, and then his son is playing, and he's
Hmm.
now. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's a difference in power. Michael Jordan owned an NBA team. He sold it and made a bunch of money.
Yeah, but the only reason that he owned it in the NBA team is because a black owner said that he was not selling it to anybody other than a black person. That's the
Right.
only reason that he actually owned a a black team. I listen. I absolutely applaud Bob Johnson for saying, "Hey, I'm not selling this to anybody but a black person."
Yeah.
That's the only
Yeah.
reason that Michael Jordan owns a team.
Or owned. He
Owned.
he cashed in. He took the money and ran.
Oh, okay. Well, who owns the team now?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't.
I see. I didn't know. I didn't know that he had actually sold the team.
Now, I only know this much because I was talking to Ben the other day, and he was telling me that um, Michael made more money on a mediocre team than he would have made if they had been a really good team.
What do you
Because
mean in terms of his salary?
not salary, he is not. When you own the team, you know this, Mark. That
Yeah.
the boss man, the owner, just sits back and lets people make him richer and richer and richer. His employees. So Michael did that. You do it in what you do it in. Michael did it and what he did it in. And
Mhm.
so he Ben was telling me he bought the team for uh 22 million, 20 million, something with a two on it, but it was a bargain. And now he sold it for so many a couple of billion or something. He said he got really rich off of it. But see,
I'm no fan of him either.
oh, Michael's,
Yes.
yeah,
His
no,
mother-in-law I was one of her favorites. She was a member of my church.
yeah,
And he would come to the church as a gift to her gift for Mother's Day. He would come and go to church with her on Mother's Day.
yeah.
Um,
Juanita's mother, you're talking
yes,
about? Yeah.
yes.
Oh,
hmm Um, let's see. By let's see, what did he pay for the NBA team?
the Tennessee. It's Tennessee, what the Hornets or
Okay,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, he paid 275 million
Yeah.
for the Charlotte Bobcats.
Oh, Charlotte.
Yeah, yeah, he paid two. Uh, um, and how much did he sell the Charlotte Bobcats for? 3 billion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That wasn't a bad day.
Right, exactly. That's capitalism. That's capitalism.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
wasn't a bad day.
And
Um,
and you rich guys understand that and play that game well. That's how you get
well,
rich.
I don't believe in billionaires. I don't think that anybody should be a billionaire. I believe that you can have some wealth, but I don't believe that anybody should be a billionaire.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I think it's uh, well, we're seeing what that is doing now. In Ronald Reagan is the one who fueled that by cutting the top tier tax rate
Right.
from 94% to 35%.
Yeah.
He cut the top tier tax rate. So and he stopped enforcing the antitrust enforcements, which allowed what we have now. He wasn't the only one, of course. Um, uh, Clinton did. George Bush did. Bush the second did. And Barack Obama started enforcing the antitrust laws a little bit. Joe Biden enforced more than anybody did. But thusly, we have all these gluttonous that is going on, because if you took more than At that time, it was somewhere around the equivalent of, I want to say, let's just say $3 million. If you took more than $3 million as a CEO out of your company, you had to pay 94 cents on every dollar over that you took from the corporations, which made
Yeah.
corporations reinvest. Uh, Reinvest. Unions were very strong, which we need to make unions stronger again today. But unions were strong then, and they were able to advocate for much better working conditions and salaries for their members. But Ronald Reagan came in and put an axe handle to all of that and saying, "Hey, let's give the brakes to
The
uh, to
powerful,
the
right?
to the rich and powerful, and they'll take care of the working people."
Their wealth will trickle down.
And that's exactly what it did. It trickled, but it never made it down.
Right.
It
Well,
went this way, not down.
well,
So, so I'm not a fan of billionaires. I know that people are fascinated by them, but I'm not.
yeah, yeah. Me neither.
Yeah. So,
By the
uh,
way, with my loss of the internet, I was so
yeah,
upset with Comcast that I left them for Verizon, and I now have YouTube that I'm getting as part of it.
yeah,
And I was watching this documentary yesterday about Shanghai, and
hmm
the headline on it was China's largest and richest city. And the story was about how China has been building an um, an understructure to all its cities, its major cities. I mean, where everything's underground now, and they've been building these huge. Their engineers have these huge bridges that span the ocean, and they've talked about their trains, their how fast their trains go now that we haven't been able to do yet. And it was interesting and frightening because we are China is doing things for 2050, and we have Trump trying to move the country back to 1950.
yes,
Yeah, and I mean, and they're doing it quite effectively. They've been building these phenomenal structures, modern day structures in Africa and South America, and the people, and it makes a difference in their lives just having this stuff um, that China's putting together and
hmm
doing. And their their goal is to be the next superpower, putting us in the dust. And their planning is incredible.
Well, if we keep electing incompetence like we have now, um, then we're well on our way to uh, con- declining as the greatest economy in the world.
Right, right. No, we're gonna no, but the thing is, I mean, they have. I mean, this piece talked about all these like when the Hoover Dam was built in the 30s, I think it was a marvel, engineering marvel at the time.
hmm
Uh, but we don't have many of those now, and China has dozens of them. They have engineers that they um, give them the mission of doing something spectacular, and that everybody thought couldn't be done. They're talking about some bridge that would cross the ocean at some point, and it's the the, the metalwork, the pillars that was holding it up were the length of 10 Empire State Buildings or something. I mean, the
Mm.
stuff they're doing is just absolutely incredible, and they tell their engineers take care. They do it quicker. They're much faster. Things that take us 50 years to do, they've been able to do in 2.
Well, I guess the question becomes as to what is the quality of the construction
Right.
um, on these things, these structures that they're doing. I know that they had vowed to build 100 airports by 2050, and they're
Yeah,
well on their way. And
yeah,
we can't get one built.
right. No, it's the same with the speed trains. Um, they have speed. They have enough speed trains now, the railroads for 'em, to um, like go around the world X amount of time. I wasn't taking notes on this show. I was just watching it. I was so I was casually watching it. In fact, I was just basically channel surfing, but this was so fascinating to me. There was things I didn't know, and I was in South Africa in 2007, and at that time there were lots of Chinese around doing things, building things for uh, some African nations. And what they're doing is they're building these relationships, and and they have better technology now. And so in the not too distant future, where these countries used to look to us for all this stuff, they're going to be looking to China.
Yeah, yeah. Because we as let me see how I can how do I want to say this, because what I don't want to do is to certainly to minimize um but well, let me just put it, there is a significant segment of our voting population that make decisions based on how they feel, on their
Well,
emotions.
well, it's not done.
I I feel like this person is going to
And,
do.
and they're ignorant. I mean, we got
Okay.
we got a lot of stupid voters in this country.
Well, listen, this
Yeah,
election
yeah,
has demonstrated to us
yeah,
that, notwithstanding anybody's academic matriculation, that it is not synonymous with being politically astute. Because there are some people that are PhDs, double masters, JDs, physicians that voted for this,
yeah.
that supported this.
But that has a lot to do with good old fashioned American racism. Uh,
Well,
uh,
I, that is true.
yeah,
What does that have to do? Well, then how do you couch it that black people with, uh, you know, that voted for this? Now, the
I'm,
the the
I'm, I'm
reverse,
yeah,
the
but
reverse.
I'm not getting a feeling, at least, that it's a lot of educated black people that are doing that. It's the manosphere sphere at play. Where guys who think of themselves as macho and don't like the idea that women are doing well. But I'm talking about black men now. Um, and like the idea that Trump comes off as this macho man, which is theatrics. He's anything but macho. Um, and so that's why that's happening. And it's not a big number. It's 9-10% of black male voters that are doing this. I mean, it's not but in a close race that counts. That matters.
And a very close, and a close. That's why that's why I still contend that what Cornel West did, because of the platform that he has,
Yeah,
that he discouraged a lot of people from even voting, much
yeah,
less encourage people to voting another way. I think
yeah,
he discouraged more people not to participate
yeah.
with that, and that level of stupidity on his part,
I
not
mean,
stupidity, that
that's who
level of irresponsibility.
his
It
ego.
was,
His
well,
ego.
it could
Yeah,
be ego. That's fair. It could be a combination. Obviously, ego drove the irresponsible conduct,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I so I agree that ego drove it, but when you have a platform, and certainly someone who as politically and socially intelligent as he is,
Right.
he this is not a person who does not know.
Yeah,
This is somebody who is historically understands where we were, where we came from, and where we are. None of that. Um, he's not ignorant of any of that.
yeah,
His level of irresponsibility and his level of ego that drove this, it is unconscionable what he did and how he conducted himself. Unconscionable. Knowing the cost, and now he is out criticizing. I, you know, in my judgment, he has very little weight to be criticizing something that he influenced to happen.
yeah. Well, now, have you invited him on your show yet?
I wouldn't dare have him. I
Why
wouldn't dare have him.
not?
Um, okay, I take that back.
You should. You
I take
should
that back.
have it for a couple of reasons. To go up against him to see what his response is to you.
He probably won't even come on, but I'm going to invite him just because you suggested it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you
I'm going
should
to
do.
invite it because I'm telling you, I am angry. I
Yeah,
am angry that somebody as politically and socially astute as he is, somebody
yeah,
who I looked to,
yeah.
um, and I have my problems from he and Tavis with their little ego,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
I know.
attacks on. They wanted to, they kind of wanted to make themselves look like they were real standout people who could criticize the black man in office.
Right.
I thought it was a little bit overblown, but okay. I I, I I really kind of gave him a pass on that.
Yes, yeah.
Um,
See, back then I was doing podcasts. I mean
yeah,
blogs,
yeah,
and I was easy on Obama, but that was because I want to aid and abet and abet the enemy.
yes.
So I didn't criticize him on some things that under better circumstances I would have,
On the
but
first term or the second term?
both, both.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
I
that
mean,
we missed. I
major,
think
but
we.
it was
Yeah.
stuff that when he was running before he was actually elected, he came to Vegas.
Mhm.
NABJ had a convention in Vegas, and we talked to Hillary and him. And I was just coming off my visit to South Africa, and I've seen all these Chinese people all over the place. They were building uh, roadways. They've given the Africans um, construction support and fiscal money report support to
Mhm.
do this stuff. And I asked Obama at that time uh, whether he would do that. I said, This is the Chinese are moving in on and building an empire out of this." And I asked him if he would do anything, and he gave me a political answer. Correct enough, but it was quick and not much to the point. And he didn't do much during that time as president. Uh,
Mhm.
and of course, he was doing the health care, which was very important and very good. And he was fighting the Republicans, the the I forget it. The early right wing racist group that was against him.
Yeah, but you still had some. You had people like John McCain, who um, was a Republican who stood up, and literally is the one who stopped the Republicans from killing the Affordable Care Act with his vote.
Yeah, the, the,
So
the Tea Party. That's what I was thinking of. I was just trying
you're
to.
the Tea Party, right? The Tea Party.
Yeah,
Um, and while the Tea Party was certainly the catalyst for Trump and the MAGAs,
right,
right?
right, right,
Um, because significant people who voted for him were people who'd never voted for anything, who had never participated.
right.
Um, but they just, they had their poster child that represented what they feel and felt, uh, and didn't realize that they were not included in uh, making America great again, according to Trump.
Well, that was a motto that he chose, uh, and as we know, what that meant was make America white again.
Well, yes,
Right.
yeah,
The
yeah.
power.
Did not to make poor whites better,
Right.
conditions better for poor whites, but poor whites would literally vote against their own interests to make themselves feel like they were superior.
Right.
But their
Right.
teeth are falling out.
Right.
They have very
And
substandard.
that dates back to slavery even. Uh,
Yeah,
you know, poor whites had no power during that time, but the one thing they had was they weren't black,
right.
so that made them better off.
Whiteness made them feel like they were
Yeah,
superior.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
And that's we have that today still.
yeah. Well, so the governor comes out today. They have a press conference, and the governor slams Trump
And Trump,
for,
the governor.
and of course, Trump slams the governor, but the governor punched back pretty hard today.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh,
No, we got a fight going on, which is good. You know,
yeah,
some of my friends see things going on, and they're just freaked out. They think Trump is winning, and that we're just going to be up the creek without a paddle. But as I see it, we're in a battle. Trump is losing. He, but because it's a battle, in battles, there are some wars that are won, battles that are won in a major war. There's some battles that are won, and there's some that are lost. Trump is coming apart.
All right, hang on just a second. I got to close out the program for intellectualradio.com. And thank you all for tuning in to the program on intellectualradio.com and iHeartRadio. We're going to continue on through Facebook and YouTube and Instagram for just a few more minutes. All right? All right, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Trump is this Epstein thing is killing him. It's killing him. So he's doing all kind of crazy stuff to distract from that.
Well, I don't really think that the Epstein thing, even though that whoever those monsters were involved in that, whoever they were,
right,
that were involved in that, certainly should be held accountable.
yeah.
I don't think there's a real price that he's going to pay. I mean, everybody knows that he's scum. Everybody knows that
No, but they have a red line of how scummy you could be, and forming a sex traffic business with young white girls, teenagers, is beyond the scope for a lot of them. And plus, because Trump and Bannon and Joe, whatever his name is, the broadcaster, Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe Rogan. Because they all built this up to be Democrats doing it. And,
Right.
we're going to get Obama and Hillary and everybody they hated. And now, as it turns out, it was Trump and friends. And so they're trying to get away from this now, trying to tamp it down a little bit. But it's too big for that. It's too big for that. It's going to keep going. There were thousands of young kids, girls, that were recruited and put into this situation, and they all have a story to tell. And when there's that many, you can't control it. There's going to be more and more people coming out and talking about it.
Well, that's very true, and I think that there's going to be more and more people coming out to refute what we are now hearing from the so-called recorded interview that
Jazine Maxwell,
right, Jolene, whatever her name is, did with the deputy assistant attorney general. I think obviously there's going to be more people who are going to come out to refute what they heard her say.
Yeah, right.
When more of that testimony is released, right?
Yeah.
All the lies that I believe,
Yeah.
as I said before, we even heard the first that you remember when you and I were talking about this so-called statement that she put out?
Yeah.
That this was not a statement that she wrote. This was a statement that was crafted for her to support. Now, in some of the,
she's a smart woman, so
I don't know if she's so smart.
Yeah. Why you don't think she's that smart?
Well, some of the questions that she was asked that they played today,
Yeah.
where she was searching for a different word, that she was led by the assistant attorney general.
Yeah.
Are you are you
I'm not going to answer that. But
oh, okay. Oh, you're
that's
receiving a call.
oh, yeah,
Okay.
right.
So um so the interview, that she did and the recordings that they made, that questions that she answered to Ghislaine Maxwell were leading questions where she was stuttering for an answer and they would give her the answer.
Yeah.
And it was told that that happened several times throughout the interview.
Yeah, because she was, yeah, but that has nothing to do with her intelligence. That has to do with she was trying to figure out what lie she was supposed to be telling, what lie they wanted her to tell at that point, and how, and it, and she had been schooled on what, how to couch everything, um, so that they can pardon her later. Uh, that's the plan, that Trump will pardon her. I believe that's the plan. That Trump is planning on pardoning her because she knows all the dirt. She knows where the bodies are buried, who shot the
I
sheriff.
differ. I differ from that because she knows, but there will be such backlash if he pardons her and then all of the information is not released. He will have such backlash. You think he's getting pressure now
Yeah,
from the MAGAs?
yeah,
There will be such backlash against him and every other Republican if he pardons her. So I don't I don't see a pardon. I don't see a commutation. I don't see she got the pardon that she got by being moved from a sex offender uh, prison to a low level prison where no sex offenders are supposed to be.
yeah. Low security.
That's her pardon.
I, I, her, what she wants is out of jail. She wants to
Well,
get out of
but
jail.
let me tell you something.
Yeah,
In the federal prison,
yeah,
in the camps, because what
yeah,
she is in a camp.
yeah,
They have to line up for um, for count twice a day.
yeah,
After that, they mostly do whatever the heck they want to after they've done whatever chores they can do what they want. I've been to
Oh,
federal,
oh no, Mark! I didn't know you. You're like Trump. You're an
not as
ex-con.
a resident, not as a
Oh,
resident, but I've
okay.
unfortunately I've had to visit
Yeah,
and have learned that people who are in those camps
yeah,
sneak out and they're gone for hours
yeah,
only to come back to make sure that they are back for the time of count.
yeah,
Also, they have people who are assigned work details that are work details off site. This is
yeah,
her pardon. This is her
yeah,
pardon. In my opinion, this is her pardon. She's not. He's not going to commute her sentence, and he's not going to pardon her. If he pardons her, there will be such. What do they call that thing when they have a backdraft?
yeah,
Um, that I would have to agree with you. Then there may be a tidal wave of a blue wave
yeah,
of in Congress
yeah,
next year. I
yeah.
don't think the pardon is coming.
Okay, we'll see. Right now they're planning on doing it, but it is going to cost them dearly. And but Trump is, well, I think Trump is demented right now, and so he's going to do something crazy.
Well, he does that every day,
Yeah, but I'm
right?
talking. Something for her. I'm talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he does. If you don't believe that Trump was at that island on that plane playing those games with those young girls,
Hmm.
uh, then I'm going to let you have the World Trade Center at a mere $23.95.
Well, I don't think that there's anybody who is of any type of reasonable, sound understanding believes that he had nothing to do with participating in whatever activities were going on. I don't think anybody. I think
Right.
anybody. I think it's at the point where people don't care. They
Yeah.
don't care because they know who he is. They already know who he is. They know he's a creep. They
Yeah.
know he's a creep. And unfortunately, it is not enough that 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, or women, period, were exploited for the heinous sexual insanity of whoever was involved in that cabal,
Yeah.
that they have discounted these women. Now they're trying to, as they do, is trying to make the victims as the villains and the villain as the victim.
Yep.
And unfortunately, there are too many people who will subscribe to it, because I've heard people say, well, uh, what were they doing over there anyway? Where were their parents?
Yeah.
So, in other words, in some way, they're suggesting that they deserve it.
Yeah.
Nobody under a child. Look,
Well, and a lot of these were not a lot, but some were homeless girls. These were not well privileged white girls. They were from broken homes.
right.
They, yeah,
People with problems.
yeah, right, exactly. So they were easy enough to con.
Right. Well, Melania was a person with a problem. They just now can dress her up pretty well.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. I mean, she she didn't come from, you know, stable environment. That's one of his insecurities, is why he goes and figures that he can get these women from places like Russia and whatever, um, and bring them, because he does not he could not have a decent, healthy relationship with a well suited white woman. He does not have that ability,
yeah,
right? So he has to go get people that he could, overpower,
yeah,
basically. Find people who are in very compromising or desperate situations.
yeah. Well, okay,
So,
yeah. Well, we have. I mean, none of this is going to be resolved in the next 2 weeks, so we can go a little bit more in depth on it.
no, it's not going to be resolved, but it's going to be continued. And I think over the next 2 weeks, um, this thing that he's trying to do, that he wants to do with the military, that is completely unconstitutional.
Right.
That he had to back off of when the mayor finally got her head on straight and figured that, oh, he's very serious about this, and sued him because um, he does not and did not have the power that he tried to exact on DC.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
there's no national emergency, so you can't ask um, for assistance of the police to assist the military.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And
Talk
then of course last week, one of the armored vehicles was cited for running a traffic light and crashed into a car. Thank God they didn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
Did you read that story
Yeah.
in DC? So I don't believe that he's going to send the military to
Or, or
Chicago.
I think he is, but yeah, I think he is because he hates Chicago, and he selected cities with black leaders and a large black population because he's a white supremacist, and it helps print it. And a lot of his followers, most of his followers, are white supremacists, so they're going right on. You know, our man Trump. That's why we want him there. So
Well, all right. Well, I want to ask this last question, and then we're going to close. One of the questions that I ask, and I mentioned to you, is: do you believe that whatever the percentage is or was, that
yeah,
black folks that supported Donald Trump then still support him now, and think that he was the better choice?
yeah, I think they do. I think they do because they're stupid. They don't. Well, that's too harsh. They don't know what's going on, and
Or is it that they? Well, what about the ones who claim that they do? This. I think this attitude about Democrats, right? I was talking to somebody earlier today to say, look, Republicans are not an alternative for us.
right,
There is not one substantive piece of public policy that you could point to these Republicans as supporting for the average working person, and certainly for the average black person. Not
right,
one. It
right,
doesn't exist
right,
because they don't care. They don't even care about their own average working people. So
right, right.
now, that doesn't mean that the Democrats are perfect. What it
No,
means is that we have to we got to get engaged and make Democrats be better
yeah,
at advocating for those things that strengthen Democrats and strengthen our communities. And we had some growth over the last 60 years in the black community. So if you've got a problem in your family, are you going to divorce your family and go jump into another family? Or are you going to try to fix the problem that's existing in your family?
right, right,
So that's the frustration. I always say, don't allow for your frustration to get in the way of your future.
right. No, you're right about that. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see what the next 2 weeks bring us.
All
It's not
right.
good.
No, it's not going to be pretty. It's not
Yeah,
going to be pretty.
yeah,
So that's why we can't sit on the sideline. It's not a spectator sports. We got to get in the hunt.
yep,
All right.
yep.
All right. Monroe Anderson for a late Monroe Monday. We'll see you in
Right.
2 weeks.
Okay, yeah, right.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm sorry. I've been because when I lost the internet, I lost it, period. And
All
so, I
right,
mean,
folks. Listen, I'm going to end the stream. All right, everybody. Listen, we're going to see you all next week, the same time, same place. Hang on, Monroe.
yeah.